Hello, hello. We're back with another episode of Launch Codes Football. And Chelsea, I'm on cloud nine right now.
Well, I'm on clown nine right now because if you're watching this podcast, my background is of a clown, which we'll get into that.
Yeah, this week 18, it really came. It we just basically saw like three different playoff games. It was amazing. Somehow the Panthers make the playoffs despite losing.
That
Some
was crazy.
that was oh, we will talk about that game. Somehow Seattle looks like right now the best team in football, but who cares with all of that? Because out of all the topics we have to talk about from week 18, there's only one that comes to mind, and that's the silver and black. Why am I saying silver and black? The black and gold. The black and gold coming out with a amazing, heart pounding, in my case, occasionally heart stopping
Yeah, dude, I only watched
victory.
the first half. I caught the highlights of the second half. Man, I was stressed just watching the highlights. I imagine that full game probably took years off your life.
That full game was Uh, yeah, I'm in San Antonio. I'm in San Antonio right now. I'm no longer in North Carolina, at least for the next month. So I'm gonna be spending the playoffs in San Antonio. Chelsea probably heard me screaming throughout the game
Oh, for
because
sure.
it did, for whatever reason, Pittsburgh is not, the past 2 weeks, they have just not started off the game well. Whether it be week 17 against Cleveland when Shador put up 10 points on them, or this past week when, if you watch the first quarter, Derrick Henry looked like he was about to have another Packers game and go crazy and go off on them. It's insane the fact that he was just running up and down the field on Pittsburgh. I'm like, oh man, it was 10-0. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to sleep early tonight. I guess this is the end of Tomlin and Rodgers era, but it's
Not so fast.
Aaron
No, I mean,
Rodgers, not so fast.
Conlon and I watched the first half of the game, and I looked at Conlon and I said, I guarantee you Daniel is screaming right now. And he was like, probably. This is crazy.
The first
Like when
half,
that horrible play call on what was it, like the 2 yard line when the Steelers had
oh,
it with like
yeah,
10 seconds left. What was that? Like
that was.
there's three unblocked dudes. Like, come on.
I'll tell you exactly what that was. What was. That was, we don't have what 300-pound tight end playing right now, so we just have to make something up. Because you have your 300-pound tight end, you just give him the ball and move out the way. He's the refrigerator. But no, I didn't mind going for it. There's like 2 seconds left, try and go score a touchdown for the half because you get the ball back in the second half. But man, that wasn't the best play call, and it didn't matter because they just walked down the field to start the second half and scored a touchdown to take the lead. I'm like, okay, awesome. And
Even
then
with Darnell Washington being missing, that was still a pretty bad play call. Like, why are you calling a screen with like 8 seconds left in the backfield and you don't have enough blockers? Like, at least throw a slant or something.
it wasn't even like a screen. It was kind of like a half pitch. They kind of pitched it back to game. I can't remember if it was game on one, but I remember when that happened. Like, why didn't they just do a tush push? And then they
Right.
get back down in the second half, and they're like, "Okay, Cameron and Haywood, come out here," and just did a tush push for him. Like, okay, why didn't you just do it in the first place? And I gotta say,
You're
it's
like, all right, at least they learned from their mistake.
Cameron Haywood stepped up and was the MVP of that game for like 2.5 quarters because he caused a tip pass that was intercepted by TJ Watt after Derrick Henry ran up and down the field on them in the first half. Like he just him that entire defensive line shut down Henry in the second half. I'm not sure how much of it was shutting down Henry or
He
Baltimore,
contained him.
or but it's the fact that he only got 5 carries in the second half, and this goes back to the he
Don't get
got
me started, bro.
I remember he had 100. He had 15 carries for like 120 yards in the first half, and like 5 carries for like 16 yards in the second half. I'm like,
You
okay,
think
this
Harbaugh gets fired tomorrow?
if he hasn't been fired now, I'm not sure. I honestly I have to wait till the end of the week. We might not figure out until maybe later on in the playoffs, just because he is someone who's been there for a while. So they might give him a little bit of a transition. Maybe they'll have a interview, talk to Lamar, see how he's feeling. But no, that entire game was insane. And then my dad kept texting me like, "Who's the Steelers defensive coordinator?" Because they kept allowing these deep passes.
I know the last
Oh my
one to Zay
goodness.
Flowers, there literally was not a dude within 15 yards of him on either side. I'm like, how do you get that open?
It's just broken coverage. I remember one of the touchdown passes, the first one, no, the second one, the one where Lamar escapes the pass rush, and you had
Hmm.
Patrick Queen running after a receiver. I'm like, what the heck is Patrick Queen trying to govern a receiver? And I'm like, okay, this is terrible. And then Rodgers comes straight down and hits Freiermuth on a perfect pass. And it was amazing. And then he scored a touchdown. I'm like, yes, we took the lead. There's about 2 minutes left. This is awesome. And then it was fourth down, and just no one's even close to him. Oh man, that pass was crazy. No, I don't even think it was fourth down. I think it was third down. I might be getting ahead of myself. But I was in a bag of emotions the last half an hour of that game because after all that happened, and then Rodgers get the ball and finds Calvin Austin for an end zone, which again I said about this last week. The Steelers just need one solid receiver. They had no solid pass catchers in the receiving department after DK got suspended. Calvin Austin stepped up, and had a great play and a great route to score a touchdown. I'm like, yes, we did it. And then man, that pass, Lamar. I say this: people think Lamar's a choker. The past few years, it's kind of been his teammates that's been failing him. Because last year you had the Mark Andrews dropping the 2 point conversion. Like, there's nothing you can do. Lamar had a great fourth quarter. He didn't have a good first. Honestly, the first half he was just nothing. Because Pittsburgh was playing more of a time possession kind of style of game. Because Baltimore barely had the ball, but every time they got the ball, they were scoring. Like Pittsburgh's defense,
Hey, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you who didn't fail Lamar Jackson. Isaiah Likely on that catch in the
that might have been
fourth quarter, that
catch of the
was
year.
crazy.
That's one of those crazy things. Like, and
Wow.
no one's going to remember that. It's like the
Hmm.
like that crazy sideline catch from who was it, Jermaine Curse before the Malcolm Butler interception.
Right.
Like, or the
That was a
who
crazy catch. Bro went up for that. That was really good.
Jalen Ramsey mistimed the jump. I thought Ramsey knocked it away. I'm like, oh my goodness, they just know this is can't how the season like this can't be how the season ends with Boswell missing the extra point, and it's
That
26.
was crazy, by the way.
I
What even
was
was that? It like went like this.
I honestly thought it was blocked. I said this has to be blocked. Boswell doesn't miss that. He can't miss that. And then I looked like
Right.
it wasn't blocked. I'm like, oh no. And now they go get in field goal range. And now they're gonna hit the field goal. And then the curse of Heinz Field, I'm still gonna call it Heinz Field.
It's always Heinz Field. No one calls it AccuSure Field or whatever its new name is.
I don't get the idea. They had a timeout left and about 12 seconds left, 11 seconds left. Why just knee it? I This was not a sure field goal. It was like a 44-yard field goal. So that's not a sure thing. This is your rookie kicker, which just
They wanted to win.
but then run the play, run like hand the ball off. Are you scared Henry's gonna fumble the football, hand the ball off, get like another 2 or 3 yards, and then call a timeout? Because you still had timeout left. You can still run the play.
That's true. I mean,
But
regardless, though, even if it was a couple of yards closer, I don't think it would have made a difference. I
oh
mean,
no,
it was so far right that, I mean,
that was a golf shot. That was my golf shot.
right? Yeah, for real.
But that was oh man, that might be one of the best games in terms of just everything happening. That was the perfect way to end the NFL season, to end the regular season. And that goes in stark contrast to the first game, the Panthers and Buccaneers game, which was a monsoon, and
It was painful.
people were killing the refs after the game.
It was bad. That might have been the worst officiated game I've ever seen. And I'm not even a Panthers fan, first and foremost. I mean, I don't know which receiver it was, but the Panthers bro who got his helmet ripped off and tossed 15 yards down the play and or down the field, and the defender just stood there and pointed at him. No flag? Like, how is that not a flag? All of America saw that. Like, what?
There's the inadvertent whistle when he rise through the pass got dropped. The guy running back picked it up and says, "Oh, it was actually a backward pass, so you lose 5 yards because you ran." They said like he went out of bounds. Like I picked the ball and handed it to the ref. I didn't go out of bounds. What is this? It was such a crazy game in terms of and it's one of those things I ended up watching the game later on because took a flight. My flight was like in the morning, so I stayed up all night. So by the time I hit like noon or 1 o'clock on Saturday, I'm like I'm dead. I have to go to
Right.
sleep. So I ended up watching the game afterwards on that Sunday, and I'm like, wow, this really was. I said this the Panthers are gonna make the playoffs because just like I'm not gonna blame it just simply on the refs because the fact is,
No, no, you can't ever do
yeah,
that.
because Baker and the Buccaneers they scored early. They jumped on the Panthers early on, so
Their offense looked good.
Yeah, and Carolina, Bryce had a bad pick. It was one of those things. It was one of those games. This was clearly a game between two teams that were under 500 because no one played like a really pretty game. But I was just
Right.
surprised how much the refs were getting killed online. And now I go
I
back and
mean,
watch.
it was bad though, but the whole game was not solely on the ref's
No, no,
shoulders. I mean, it never is.
no. But I go back and watch the game like, okay, it's not all on the ref shoulders, but this was some very egregious play decisions. Honestly, this was some bad, not the best ref game. And then it's still insane the fact that even despite all of that, it still didn't matter because the Falcons and Saints determined who
Dude,
wins
I
the NFC
know. That
South.
was crazy. Did you know the Falcons finished with the same record as the Bucks and the Panthers? Three teams in that division finished at 8-9.
No, it's funny in that
All three of them.
the fact that the Falcons have been eliminated from the playoffs since I think the first week in December, and they essentially decided who makes the playoffs and ended with the
Right.
same record as the first place team.
And honestly, the hottest team in the NFC South was probably the Saints. Like they won like four or five of their last seven games. Tyler Shuck had like a 4 game winning streak at one point. So it's pretty crazy to think they didn't even have a shot of making the playoffs, and they probably finished the season the strongest of all the teams.
They probably have the most confident going into next year, but like that was
Yeah, it's
just
debatable.
I think going to next year, I think because you feel like you have your quarterback for the future, you feel like you have a coach that you can trust. And I think you can
Yeah.
trust the Canales in Carolina. Carolina's a year ahead of schedule. They were not supposed to make the playoffs this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
shouldn't have, they're 8-9, so they probably shouldn't have, but they're in.
Yeah.
But they're definitely a year ahead of schedule. They're gonna play they're gonna be better next year. I'm not sure about that with Atlanta because they just fired their coach. I'm not sure how good Penix is going to be. Tampa, it's going to be interesting what Tampa does.
Yeah, I'm interested to see them. They have a lot of
They
veterans.
have a lot of decisions to make in terms of just their coaching staff, in terms of,
Their fans want Todd Bowles gone.
and Todd Bowles ain't gone yet.
Nope. I'm sure they're mad on Reddit.
But no, that was a great game. And then the last major game. Well, I'll say there was one other game. I'll go. Well, let's say the last major game on Saturday was, of course, the Seattle and San Francisco for the NFC West and the number one seed. And Seattle's defense came to play. That wasn't even close in terms of the score doesn't tell the story of the game. Seattle dominated that game.
They really did, which is saying something considering that the 49ers dropped almost 500 yards of offense on the Bears just a few weeks ago. And I know the Bears defense is nowhere close to the Seahawks defense, but the Bears are a top seed in the NFC, and they had 500 yards of offense dropped on them. So that should just tell you right there how good the Seahawks defense is. I mean, because the 49ers, they had McCaffrey, they had Kittle, they had Jennings. I mean, they didn't have what's his face? He was
PSR, PSR.
Pearsall, yeah, because he was out, I think, with some kind of leg injury again. But I mean, and they didn't have Trent Williams, so that was obviously a big
Yeah,
loss. But
that's
outside of
yeah.
that, I mean, they had pretty much all of their offensive weapons, and they couldn't do anything. McCaffrey couldn't even do anything, and that's saying something.
It's just I don't know. And they were in San Francisco too. The weather was fine. And it's hard to say if I trust Seattle at this point because there's no reason not to trust Seattle except for the fact that more than anything, Sam Donald always has like one or two games where it's just like, dude, what are you doing on the field? But they're playing like the best team in the NFC right now. They beat the two top teams. They beat the Rams and San Francisco, so they clearly
It's
are
true.
up there. But you going
And the
back,
Bears, they beat the Bears, right? That was a high scoring game.
yeah. I'm talking about more like the past few weeks because they played
Oh,
the
oh yeah,
Rams like 2 3 weeks ago. But in
right.
terms of what you talk about with the Bears,
The Bears. That's 2 weeks in a row. I mean,
yeah.
it's not just me anymore carrying this trend.
But speaking of animal teams, it was interesting the Eagles sitting their starters when they could have gotten the number two seed because Chicago played Detroit, and which I somewhat would. The fact Chicago wasn't able to beat Detroit and they only scored 16 points on them. That's something that has to be somewhat concerning if you're a fan of Chicago because Detroit don't have any much of a doesn't have much of a defense. But the fact that the Eagles didn't play the starters and just gave up the number two seed to Chicago is interesting.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna laugh if they sit their starters, which they did, and they come out rusty. I'm just gonna laugh. Like I understand the point of doing that because you want to keep your best players healthy. Like I
Yeah.
understand. I understand the philosophy. I'm just gonna laugh if they come out flat because it will be their own fault.
I just don't understand because I don't understand the idea of doing that when you have something to play for.
Right.
You lose to because Chicago beat them in on Thanksgiving or no thanks it was Thanksgiving or was it Black Friday the game? I
One.
think
I think it was Black Friday.
yeah, so they beat them 20 they beat them in Philadelphia. So maybe I don't know, maybe they just don't feel like hearing boos from their fans, but unless you think a wild card team's gonna upset the number two or number well not number one seed, but at least upset Chicago or the number four or five seed is gonna upset the Seattle. You're only gonna get one playoff game in Philadelphia. I'm surprised they decided to take. I figured when it's late in the game, you notice that the Bears might lose this game. Maybe put in the starters or something.
Right. It was definitely an interesting decision because, a lot of the time when teams sit their starters, they do so because there's literally no way they could advance any further.
Yeah,
Which, in that regard, I understand because if there's no way you can advance any further, why would you put your best players at risk when you're trying to win a Super Bowl? Like,
exactly.
that's always been the philosophy. I get that. But when you have something to play for, and you purposefully choose to not play for it, I just think that's a very interesting decision. I have not really fleshed out Eagles fans' opinion on that, but I'm interested. I'm gonna go look up some Instagram pages and some subreddits and see what they're saying because I wonder if they're mad about that. Because, at the end of the day, two seed, three seed, I mean, does it make a difference? Yes. But does it make a drastic difference? Arguably not. But at the
Uh,
same time, like, why do you want to sit your team when they have motivation? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that just kills team morale.
I feel like honestly that makes a big because this isn't like the some of the wild card teams they set their stars. If you're like the fifth seed or the seventh seed, it really doesn't make much of a difference. You're still gonna be in the wild card and still be host. You still be on the road throughout the playoffs. Maybe you want to think about I want to get a bad matchup, but I don't think teams really think about that unless there's like a major injury like the week before prior to like an opposing team's star player. But a two seed and three seed is a big difference. That's the difference between hosting potentially one playoff game and two playoff games, and potentially
That's true. That's true.
and even hosting the entire. And if something happens to Seattle loses in the divisional round, which is a complete possibility. You would be the number if you're the number two seed, you'll be hosting throughout the entire playoff in your bracket. So you're just accepting, oh, we don't get one playoff game, one home playoff game. And if we move on, oh well, we're probably if and everything works out, oh well, we're still probably gonna get only one home playoff game. But
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting decision.
one team that didn't have to sit their starters, or actually could have sat their starters, but decided not to for a good reason. The Browns decided to play their starters because one Mr. Myles Garrett was trying to get his sack record, and after two back-to-back weeks without sack, he finally got it late in the fourth quarter. And it was fun. It was awesome to see. I like the fact that he won like a year ago. He won out. Then they gave him a boatload of money, and he's like, you know what? I think I can stay here. And then he
He's
was,
like, you know what? I think I'll just break the record while I'm at it.
yeah. I still have in the back of my mind though. I still have to put a little asterisk just because you have the extra game, and that's just
I
something.
know. That's how I am too.
That's something you just have to add on to like NFL history in general because it's the same thing with the rushing title. Like only one running back has had a 2,000 yard rushing season in the 14 game season. Um, it was Orenthal James Simpson. It was you can't.
Ah, that's not who I was gonna guess. I was
Oh,
guessing in my head.
sorry. Yeah.
I couldn't think of who it was. My guess was gonna be Barry Sanders, so I would have been wrong anyway.
No, no, Sanders did it, but he did it in a 16 game season. OJ is the only one that did it in a 14 game season and did nothing else significant in his life. uh,
Boom, roasted.
no, but yeah, the other ones, it was Eric Dickerson did in 16 games, Terrell Davis 16 games, Jamal Lewis 16 games, Sanders 16 games, Peterson, Peterson and OJ are the two most like impressive just because Peterson came back on the torn ACL and did it.
Right.
And
I
OJ
mean,
was
I
in
feel
14
like the
games.
general metric is 16 games. Like, I know OJ did it not in 16, but I feel like historically, people are going to be measured against the 16 game season because it was that way for so long.
I guess so. I know that is fair. It probably gonna be measured more like that, but there's still something to doing it in fewer games. And it's the same thing with
That's
the
true.
same thing with the sack record. Like, well, first of all, sacks are a new statistic. Sacks didn't get actually jotted down until like 1982. So there's like seasons like in the 60s and 70s when guys were having 20 plus sacks in a season, and they just weren't counting those.
That's a whole different brand of football, though, from modern football. You're always going to argument as well. I
Yeah,
mean, you have guys in the 50s compared to the 2020s. I mean, that's just a different breed of football at that point.
that's fair, that's fair. But even like in the modern days with Mark Gastineau in the mid 80s, Strahan in the early 2000s, TJ Watt, them setting
I
their
loved
record.
watching Strahan as a kid.
Strahan was one of my first, he was my first football jersey because I had Strahan and Matthew had a Tiki Barber jersey. And
Good
somehow
choices.
I did not become a Giants fan. I don't know how I got those jerseys and just like didn't become a Giants fan. But no, I think it's still he's easily the best defensive player in the football. He's easily win the defensive player of the year, which is insane because he's on a last place team.
For sure. If he
He's
doesn't win the Defensive Player of the Year,
like
that's a
who
crime.
else is there? There's not really who's second place at this point. Like the thing is we just accepted like around Thanksgiving. Okay, he's winning defensive player of the year.
If it were the first 3 to 4 games of the year, it probably would have been Ivers with his 2 touchdown defensive game for the Vikings.
Oh yeah. But even then the Vikings are still also a last place team.
That's true. That's true. No, it was really impressive, though. I mean, the fact that he didn't have a sack every game and he still broke it is pretty incredible.
Well, he had those explosive. He had like 6 sacks against New England. He had like a 4 sack game against another team. It was. It's the fact that there's no one. You. It's like when Adrian Peterson broke had his 2,000 yard season. There's not really another play on. There's not like you know who you're going for. I don't know why you just don't double him every time. Just say everyone else beat us. But
Right. Well,
he's
some teams do double
yeah
him
he
and it
gets
doesn't make
double.
a difference.
It's like Aaron Donald. We can't double you, but at the same time, you just go fight to a double. He got his sack on the, I think the fastest rush of his like season. Like
Wow.
he got to the quarterback in like half a second.
No fatigue for that guy.
Oh no,
Now,
he won that record badly.
I wonder, like Aaron Donald's peak compared to Myles Garrett's peak. Feel like I would still take Donald just because he was a DT and it's harder to get sacks as a DT.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, no discounting Myles Garrett's season. I mean, bro's on a lot last place team, playing through a bunch of quarterbacks, has talent on defense. I mean, their defense is actually pretty good.
Oh yeah, defense
But
elite.
man, I mean, very impressive. I'll be interested to see how he does next year because I know normally when players have really good seasons, there's a higher chance that they take a step back the next season or they sustain an injury or they're not as productive because of fatigue, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll be interested to see how he does next year, especially with a new coach coming to
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Black Monday came like a hurricane. We lost 4 different
Yep.
coaches, and that's not even considering Callahan in Tennessee and Dayball with the Giants earlier this year. So far, it's Pete Carroll with the Raiders, Raheem Morris with the Falcons, Kevin Stefanski with the Browns, and the last one, don't tell,
Jonathan Gannon with the
dang it,
Cardinals.
I was about to say, don't tell me. It's good. It's it's good that you told me because I was going to cycle with everything and wait get to the Cardinals like the last. But
It kind of reminds me of earlier when we were talking about the Steelers game, right? Because if John Harbaugh gets fired, I'll tell you what, if I'm a Giants fan, I want him. That's just me. Or a Falcons fan. Honestly, of all of these firings, including the midseason one, I honestly thought the Raheem Morris firing was dumb. They were 8-9.
they
Michael
have,
Penix got hurt.
yeah.
They were playing with a backup quarterback, and if they hadn't won more games at the beginning or lost more games at the beginning of the season, they would have been in the race to make the playoffs. Like I don't understand that. I mean, it was his first year and he almost finished 500 and had a shot at making the playoffs if they would have not gone on that long losing streak.
Was it his
I
first year?
mean,
Was he not there last year?
I
Was
thought
this?
this was his first year. Or is this his second year?
I look up as you're talking. But I remember one of the funniest memes that they saw was like the fact that he lost by 3 points to the Jets, and one it's not like if we had just beaten the stinking Jets, we would be in the playoffs.
That's true. I mean, it's not to say that he was perfect or that he didn't have bad losses because he certainly did. But I mean, I really don't think the Falcons are that bad of a team. Like they have talent on that team. I mean, I'll be interested to hear what you think of this about which team you think is the most desirable for a new head coach. Personally, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm taking the Giants for sure. You
Yeah,
have an established young quarterback, you have an established starting young running back, an established wide receiver one. You have at least three top tier players on defense on the D line with Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, and Brian Burns. So I feel, and you have Andrew Thomas on the O line. So I feel like you definitely have pieces in New York. New York is just a different animal when it
I
comes to coaching. So we'll
yeah.
see who ends up there, but it's very desirable if you're a coach, I would think.
Well, first of all, Raheem Morris. This was his second year. He finished 8 and 9 both his
Okay.
years, but
I don't know. I
I was
still don't like it
I'm
personally.
I'm not a big fan. I understand, but I'm still not a fan of it.
Yeah.
Honestly, you say the Giants. I'm thinking about it. I would might say the Falcons just because
I think Falcons are second.
they have talent on both sides of the ball. The biggest thing is they're not in a good division. Um,
But they have quarterback questions. I think that's the only thing that
that's the biggest thing.
separates them from the Giants.
But the thing is, the Giants still have to face the Cowboys are going to get better. The Washington Commanders, they're gonna get healthier this season. They were just unhealthy. I don't know what. And the Eagles are still the Eagles. Even when the Eagles are struggling, they're still winning 11 to 12 games this season.
Yeah,
When
but you can outscore the Cowboys if they're because you're not going to be able to fix that whole defense in one off season. I mean, you should be able to take at least one from the Cowboys and at least one from the Commanders. Now, the Eagles, I understand because I think they're just a different caliber team, but I think you should be able to take at least one game from those other teams, especially if you're playing at home.
I say the one team that I wouldn't want to coach at this point, I wouldn't want to be the Cardinals coach because there's no light at the end of that tunnel. I wouldn't want to be the Titans. That's just a complete rebuild at this point. You
I'd
just have
rather go to the Cardinals and the Titans. I think at least you have McBride and Harrison.
um that division though. Well, then again, the Titans still have they have a gauntlet of division too.
That's true. I mean,
Well,
I guess I'm just thinking about in regards to
what about the
most
Browns?
desirable roster.
The Browns is the same thing with the Falcons. They have a great roster, just a big question at quarterback.
They have a great defense. They have a good starting running back. They have an okay O line. They have no receivers. And they have questions at quarterback. I think personally, Shador Sanders should get a full year to actually start for the team and see if he can
Yeah.
work out. But who knows? I mean, I saw an article that was like, Shador Sanders hasn't really separated himself. The Browns should take a quarterback in the draft. And I'm like, why? You took two last year, and neither of them got a full shot. You took Gabriel and you took Sanders, and neither of them got a full shot. Personally, this is my Indiana bias. I'm glad that the Jets blew the first overall pick because I would much rather Fernando Mendoza go to the Raiders. Now, that probably sounds ridiculous to some of you because
No, it
it's the
doesn't.
Raiders,
It does not.
but at least they have Brock Bowers, they have Trey Tucker, they have Ashton Jeanty, so they have weapons on offense.
And the
I
fact is,
mean, they don't have, I mean, their line's not great, but they have a couple of guys on that line that are decent. I mean, their defense leaves a lot to be desired, but at least on offense, you have some pieces to work with if you're Fernando Mendoza.
and the fact is, the Jets are probably all bringing back Aaron Glenn, despite the fact they did not get a single interception this season.
That is so embarrassing.
But the Raiders are going to hire a new coach, and I assume they're going to hire an offensive-minded coach to pair with Mendoza,
I would think so.
which would be a smart decision to make. But yeah,
I'm
what?
apparently, I think the Titans are interviewing our DC. We have Lou Amaruno is our DC. He used to be the coach of the Bengals
Mm.
or the DC of the Bengals. I think he was on the Bengals. I can't recall in this moment what his position was.
Yeah, the pet
But
Bengal.
I honestly thought before the defense got hurt that did a really good job. I would be sad to lose him. Honestly, I'll tell you what, of all of these teams that had someone fired, you know who's missing from that list? The Indianapolis Colts.
Who would you have fired though?
Why? 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 If you want to keep Shane Steichen, okay, I understand. He lost his starting quarterback. He suffered some injuries, whatever. Why are we keeping Chris Ballard? He's been here 10 years, and it took him until his ninth year to actually sign players in free agency on day one. And it took him until his ninth year to actually make a meaningful trade outside of DeForest Buckner, who honestly, I can't even remember. That might have been before his time. That might have been Ryan Grigson. I can't even remember. But why is this dude still the GM? I don't
Uh,
understand.
it's just the fact. I don't know, like Andrew Luck really, because they basically been trying to put in like the same way the Steelers been doing quarterback. They're putting like duct tape on that quarterback position. They hoped Anthony Richardson worked out, which it looks like it's not gonna work out. Look, he looks like just a new version of Trey Lance, and Trey Lance looked terrible yesterday. Um, but
I'll tell you what, dude.
you're the Colts fan. I'm not. It's enthusiastic about all the people on my side of football and the Steelers, but at least they made the playoffs.
You know, the thing about Chris Ballard is it's a mixed bag, right? Because we went 9 years basically without him making really many meaningful splashes in free agency, many meaningful trades, and then he rolls into his ninth year and he actually does something. Like he trades for Sauce Gardner. I couldn't believe that happened. Like he signed Chartavius Ward and Cam Bynum on day one of free agency. He never signs anyone on day one. So I was thinking, all right, like if this is how you're going to act, okay, like that's fine. But man, we have our new owner, Jim Irsay, our owner, passed away earlier in 2025. His daughter is the owner now. I really thought she was going to put her stamp on this thing and hire her own people. And I'm honestly surprised that she didn't. But I did see in her post game recap that apparently they are under immense pressure this year. So hopefully we'll see some more good moves from Ballard. Bro cannot draft D line. He cannot. We've literally had like seven defensive linemen bust in the last like 5 years. That's why we have no edge except Latu because everyone he drafts is mediocre to bad. Now he's really good at drafting people in the later rounds. Like he got Zaire Franklin, who I think was a sixth or a seventh round pick, which considering where he was drafted is pretty impressive. But
Yeah.
man, how is no one fired? I mean, at least these other teams got fired. Like I was on Instagram, people were thrilled Pete Carroll got fired. People were thrilled Jonathan Gannon got fired. Like, not that you want to cheer for someone losing their job, but at the same time, you watch the same things happen over and over. We have not won a division title in over 10 years. 10 years. We play with Jacksonville and Tennessee in our division. 10 years? Are we for real?
But Jacksonville's good right
Jacksonville was
now.
bad for like 8 of those 10 years. Crazy,
But
dude.
one person I know is happy Stefanski got fired is Matthew. He's like, I said, hey, Stefanski got fired. Like, I think he actually thinks Stefanski's a good coach and he wants him in with the
I don't
with the
think he's a
Giants.
bad coach either.
No, he said put him on the Giants with an actual quarterback and like good offensive weapons. You can see do something with him.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
yeah, like it's gonna be interesting seeing like as the week goes on and as the playoffs go on, who else loses their job. I think the Steelers get humiliated in the playoffs. That could be something for Tomlin. He might be on the hot seat.
That would be
Harbaugh,
interesting.
Harbaugh is probably on the hot seat now. And it's a coin flip, honestly, if he stays or he goes. Um, I'll say I remember during the football game, during the Steelers game, I was looking up draft picks because I was thinking we're gonna lose this game. And I forgot the Steelers have a dozen draft picks next year or this year.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
a lot of trades. So I'll say get secondary help and get another receiver because Calvin Austin is not number one receiver.
And
But
neither is DK Metcalf, in my opinion.
yeah. Well, number one by default.
By default, but on a team with a number one, he's not a one.
No,
Like
no.
you put him on the Bengals, he's not a wide receiver one. He's probably a three on the
Yeah.
Bengals.
But this regular season was insane. The last game of the regular season took 6 years off my life. And this is just, I'm just, it was, I'm so happy I went to sleep happy. I was almost going to sleep
Right.
angry. I'm like, yeah, I can go to sleep happy now. My brother-in-law is just like, he's a Ravens fan. He was trying to fire Harbaugh like the past month and a half.
He's like, I hate everything. But no, that was a huge game for you guys. And honestly, an impressive victory because I didn't pick you guys to win that game. And you had some people step up who needed to step up that got you that victory. So it was real impressive.
Aaron
Um,
Rodgers, please give me one more year. because he looked
Ah, man, I don't know. He
he
said this was his last
he
year.
said this last year, but then he's kind of like waffle back and it's gonna be like a Brett Favre thing. Like Brett Favre used to waffle back and forth.
Yeah.
But one thing we're not gonna be waffling is when you'll see us again. You'll see us on Thursday when we're gonna talk about the wild card round of the playoffs. Chelsea, tell us where you can find us.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Tune back in Thursday for our wild card round preview episode. In the meantime, follow us on our social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at Launch Codes Football, on X at Launch Codes FB, and we have our chat BCC. So if you guys want to chat it up during the wild card round this weekend, definitely hit us up for the link and we can get it to you so you can join. I'm Chelsea,
I'm Daniel.
and we will see you on Thursday.
Don't mess with Texas.